Yes. So today we start with the conditional statement and loops and methods. Right. So conditional statement in the before last two sessions we discussed about the conditional statement, switch and if condition. So that is comes inside the conditional statement. And after that we discussed today about the loops and methods. So in this session, we discuss about the comments. Comments is basically like, for example, I create a project or I create any application. So I want to explain about that application. What is the meaning of that line or what is, why we declare this line. So for that, we declare a comment. So comments basically here are of three types that we discuss here. First one is a single line comment. Single line comment that is used, for single line comment, we use double slash. Then second one is the multi-line comment. Multi-line comment we use slash, star, asterisk, then asterisk and slash, and XML documentation comment. That is for defining about your document. What is the meaning of that line, right? So comments are used to declare what program does and what specific lines of code do. Compiler ignore comments. So normally comment is not compiled by the compiler. Comments is like a normal English statement which is not checked by the compiler. Right? So comment is basically described for the user description. For example, I create a project and after that I want to explain someone like what is the meaning of this line, what is the meaning of console.write line, right? Suppose I share that application with someone else. I want to explain about that line meaning. So in that location, before that line, we declare a comment. So to comment or uncomment, we use designer or keyboard shortcuts. So right now here I show you how to define a comment. Right. So before this namespaces, I just write about this, what this program do. So for that, I use a comment here. So before this line here, I write a single line comment. This is the single line comment. For single line comment, we use a double slash. To declare programs. Right. For example, this program is about write a program to declare command inside this program. So for that, we write like this. So when we execute this or when we compile this program is not checked by the compiler. This is like a normal English statement, which is not checked by the compiler. Compiler check only these statements using system or whatever the program we run. It execute only that one. So right now here, I write a simple message console.write line. Hello world. Now, before this, here I write a comment like this. Windows. Suppose I have to write a multi-line comment. So for a multi-line comment, we define like this. like this. So like this way we define a multi-line command. For example, I have to explain about that line in a detail. So in that location we use a multi-line command. Right now I execute this one, Control F5. And here I write using shortcut key. So that's one. Right? So in this location you can't see comments on your screen. The comment is normally an English statement which we can't see. Or shortcut keys that is Control plus K plus C. That is for assigning comment, and for uncomment we use Control plus K plus U for uncommenting the line. So right now this is the program in which we see only the hello world message, right? So this is the way we can declare a comment inside the program. So now here I add comment in XML format. So for XML comment we declare triple slash. Or before this one more way we can assign XML comment. Right click here and go to properties. We have to go in a project properties, not in this one. Right click, properties. XML document. Create XML of this document. So let's see how it look like, how it displays XML document. So XML stands for Extensible Markup Language, right? So that is same like the HTML language, but in this XML we create our own code. So right now let's see how it look like in a XML, and where it saved that file inside a bin and debug folder within the same project. So name of my file is commentexample.xml. Now after that, save this, Control S. Now use this build. Right, build succeeded, and in this location we click on show all files. Inside bin debug, here I go. This is the XML file. Now I double click on this. What you have to do, just build your application. So right now in this location you see this one is the XML file automatically generated by the program, right? So automatically it writes something in this location. So this is the one way to generate XML file automatically. Now second one, we have to create some XML information within the same project. So when we create an XML document generally contain a tags. The tag information we have to write everything within the tag, right? So that's why here information written in the form of a tag. And when we declare an XML document, we have to define a triple slash for defining XML comment. In this location, XML documentation comments use triple slash. Normally, we are not using XML comment that much because for XML commenting, first of all, we should know about how we write the XML documentation, right? So when you know the XML documentation, after that you can easily create XML. But right now in Visual Studio already provided two types of comment: single line comment. This one is the single line comment where we use a double slash, and second one is the multi-line comment, right? So normally in a Visual Studio we use these two comments. An XML comment that is for the additional purpose. You want to write something in a detail or in a elaborated format. At that time we use an XML comment. Right now I build this. Yes. So here it asks that the file has been modified outside of the source editor. Do you want to reload it? Yes. I want to modify my existing file because I add some XML comments in this location. Right now, when I run this, before this one, here I put a F9 breakpoint. Now I execute this. F11 function key. This location, so you see automatically my compiler that remove these comments statement. Comment statement is not executed, it is not checked by the compiler, right? So comment is only for the description of the user. Whatever we want to explain about the program, for that we use the comments here. Right now, here I show the XML. Okay, there is nothing like that. Let's refresh. Okay, this one is automatically generated. Right. So normally that XML comments are defined like this. Here I show you one of the example how we create an XML document. And before that I show you the shortcut key for this. For example, I want to complete this one in a comment. Here I write another line. Console.write line. This is my first program. For example. And here I put another one. This one. Now I want to put all these lines in a comment. So in this location, shortcut key from a keyboard, select all these lines and press Control K C for commenting. Now I want to uncomment these three lines. Control K for uncommenting. So that is the shortcut key. Otherwise, normally you can use. Suppose I want to define a multi-line comment. * star and stop it. Right. So this is the way we can declare a comment inside of a program. Now we jump to the next one. Any doubt in this one? And here I show you the example of like how we write an XML documentation. For example, here I have to write an XML code. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. That's extensible markup language in which we generate our own code. For example, I have to write information about a book. So in that location, we define something like this: book, and within that, books. And suppose here I write book ID, something like this. 301 book ID, book name, C#.NET, book name. Lines, something like that. So this is the XML documentation. This way we write XML documentation. So XML is just, it's the same like a database. So normally we have a SQL server, we have a Oracle server. So XML is something like that. Before that, when we don't have any SQL server, Oracle server or Access, at the time people, how they store information in a database? At the time they use this Excel. So right now here I got this and I show you in another how it looks like. I save this file with the XML file extension. Right now I save it in a desktop or otherwise. XML. And here I click all files, save. Then I click OK, minimize this. Right click here, open it. Like this way we can check XML documentation. So XML is what? That is like in which information is stored in this format, in the form of a tags. So that same way we use in a Visual Studio. Whatever you write, you can write in a XML format, something like this. You can create your own tag. So here book ID, that is a tag, right? Sorry. Now we will start with the next one. Next one is the conditional statement. Before last two classes, we discussed about the conditional statement. We discussed about two conditional statement. One is the switch and second one is the if condition. So a statement can be executed based on a condition is known as a conditional statement. This statement is often a block of code. So in a conditional statement, for example, when we declare a if, after if the condition is true, so true statements will execute, otherwise it jump to the else part. Otherwise, we have not defined any else part, only if statement will execute and your program will terminate. So same thing in this location. The following are of two types: conditional branching and conditional loops. So conditional branching, this statement allow you to branch your code depending upon whether or not a certain conditions is met. So C# has basically two conditional branching statement: if statement and switch statement. So this is the example of a if statement. If is a condition. So here they show you the example of that one. Right click, add, new project. Now, in this location, I accept a value from the user. So here we insert this. And if another condition you can use. So here we use a logical operator with that, and age is less than equals to, for example, right now here I write 5 equals 5. Like this, right? So here we define like this, and right now I run this program, right click, set as a startup project, and here I'll execute it. Control F5, enter age, here I enter 5, you are done. Like this way we can define that. Again, here I enter 89, old, and here I enter 45, gender. Right? So like this way we can define conditions here. So this is the if. If is a nested condition. So if statement normally define if, along with it we define condition, and this condition is true. So true statement will execute. Otherwise it comes to the else part. And here it executes false statement. So now we check this condition, how this program will work. So right now I start this. Here I enter age, for example 34, enter. Oh, put a breakpoint here. For example this one. And that's 11. Right, enter age 23, F11, this. So here age is 23. Right, so 23 is greater than 0 and 23 is less than 5. This condition is false. We jump to the next else. In this location, 23 is greater than 5, 23 is less than 12, it is false also. Here, this one is also false. Now in this location. So let's see this statement. This one is true, so it executes this one and come out from the program. So like this way we can check in a compile time, or when we can check in a debugging time how this program will execute. Stop debugging. Now next one is the switch. Add new project. So with the switch, we have a multiple conditions here. For example, here switch. So along with switch, we define a condition. Conditional, we define our variable. And along with the case, define our whatever the value of a variable, we define those conditions. Case is 1, so it executes those statements. And if statement here terminated by breakpoint. Then case second. Then statements related to the case second, and then break. Otherwise, if these cases are not true, it executes the default statements. Break. So now we check this one. Int or cache. Send. Hello. Just a minute. Hello. Okay. Right. So in this location, I enter a symbol plus, minus, multiply, divide, or any other symbol you want. You just put that one. And after that, what I want here I enter symbol equal. So this one is a character. So here we use char.parse because console.readline always return a string value. So we have to accept only one character, not a multiple characters. Single character. For that we use a char.parse. Here I use console.readline. And now here I use switch statement. With switch we define our symbol and here I define a case. Case first. In this location I use plus operator. Then colon. And along with this, here I define a statement. Whatever I want to do in this location, I want to, for example, add 2 numbers or 3 numbers. So before that, I need a numbers. I declare those numbers here. Int A, B, and C. And here I define
Maybe
equals to
maybe
dot parse.
and I have TV.
Equals to A,
I do. See?
No, it's okay. Don't do that.
That's a good boy.
So let's take a break. So this one is the first condition.
Also
Now.
potato. But no, don't wipe with that, Ihana. It will dry automatically. Don't.
Hello.
I think potato too.
Come on. I have to sleep. I have to sleep, baby. Oh yeah, I'm going to eat dinner.
Oh,
I know.
you want to go or you want to eat here?
Yeah.
Go talk to Mama. Hello. Talk to Mama.
Hello.
Why? Can you go and talk to Mama? Otherwise, उसको रहने दो यहाँ पर.
भाई खाएगा तो यही खाएगा खाएगी तो भाई नहीं तो ये यहाँ पे ऐसे बातें करते हैं. Thank you so much.
Hello.
Mom, look at me. Oh, what the heck?
It's okay. It's okay, sir. We have regular fire truck and that is so nice that time.
Hello.
Fire truck, the fire truck.
Hello, Pooja. Hello, Pooja.
This is the fire truck and the microwave. And you have this all good classes here. Look. We have this microwave. We have this. This is your favorite, right?
Check.
Divide two numbers. Now, after that, here I put a default. Simple. After that, here I put a switch. This one. So this is about the console application and how we define a switch statement. Right click, set as starter project. And in this location, I run this, Control F5. So here it asks me about the symbol, which symbol you want to insert. So suppose I put a multiplication. Enter two values, 3 and 5. 50. Right? So like this way we can define switch statement. So in a switch statement, we define our condition and we define multiple cases to that. So whatever the symbol we define, my cursor directly jump to that case. Right now, if I define any other symbol which is not defined in the case, so suppose here I define caret sign. So enter two numbers because after that I enter the two numbers, 3 and 4. So in this location it send a message. Please enter the valid symbol. Sorry. So like this way we can define switch. Now jump to the next one. Any doubt in the if and switch statement? So this is switch. So multiple if statements can be replaced with a switch statement. Break statement, if it is not used inside a switch statement, control will leave the switch statement. And go to statement, you should either jump to the another case statement or a specific label. Using go to is a bad programming style. We should avoid go to by all meaning, right? So no need to use a go to statement within your program. For example, you want to jump in a different line. So in that location, sometimes people they use go to statement. So that go to statement is not recommended by the Microsoft. Right now, here I show you that one. This one. Simple one. Okay. Here I define go to, and I define a label along with that. Suppose here I define my label, any label, like this. This is the growth. And in this location, I use my label. Right now I show you how it works, or otherwise I put here in this location. Build my application. Write this layer around the symbol. Okay, use it before this one. No problem. Right now this one is the switch. So right now my switch program is on. And here control 5. Unassigning local variable. Okay, like I check this one. Control X. And I put it after this. My label. I want to execute it in this location. I have to put it here. Not recommended on this label has not been referenced. Yes, this one is not allowed in this location. Okay, after the switch. Right. Now I put a breakpoint here and F11. Right. In this location, symbol and the symbol. Here I put a plus sign. Go to. So go to where it jumped? It jumped directly to this location. Suppose you want to skip statements from your program. So in that location we use a go to statement. But normally this time we are not using a go to statement. Previously when we worked with a C language or C++ language, at that moment or at that time we use a go to statement. For example, I want to jump my cursor directly to the specific label where I define that label. So at that time we use a go to statement. But this time Visual Studio don't recommend a go to statement, because that is not good for the programming language, because in this location we want to directly jump in a different statements, or we want to execute another one. So they provide you option to use a conditional statement rather than using a go to statement, because go to statement sometimes it create a program that means in that location you are suddenly moving to the different location, like it is not executing your program in a way actually the compiler will execute. So that's why go to statement is not recommended. So here I show you the example of that one. Now here I press F11, then your program will terminate. So I press plus, so it stop all that things. Whatever I define in a switch statement, it skip all the statements. It where it jump directly to the label where I define this my label go to statement. Right? So suppose you want to skip something from your program, at that time we use a go to statement. Otherwise Visual Studio don't recommend go to statement. So this is the example to define a go to statement. Go to statement and then label, any label you can define here, any name for this label. And after that, when you want to call that particular go to statement, you have to define that label name, and then whatever statement you have to execute, just define those ones. So instead of using a go to statement, right now we have an option, we can use a switch or if statements. Now, next one is the conditional statement. So conditional statement C# provides for loop that allow you to execute a block of code repeatedly until a certain condition is met. So they are for loop, while loop, do while loop, and for each loop. So each loop requires three things in a common: initialization, second one is the condition, and third one is the iteration. Iteration means, here I show the example of that one. So initialization, that set a starting point for the loop of the loop, condition that set the ending point of the loop, and iteration that provide each label either in a forward or backward direction. Here I show the example. First of all, I show you a while loop. So in this location, first one is the initialization. Initialization of the location, I put a value I equals to 0. I initialize the value of I as a 0. Now, after that, here I use a while statement, and I want to run this I up to the 10. So this is the condition. And within this, here I define the statements which I want to execute within the while loop. So here I define if I want to display the value of I, and after that here I have to increase the value of I plus 1. You can define like this. So this is the increment. To declare or iteration, we can say. Means how many times you want to run this loop. I want to run this loop every time I want to execute. I want to increase the value of I variable by 1. So let's see what is the result of this program. That is startup. Control F5. Now in this location is start with a 0 because value of I is 0. 1, 2, 3, 4 up to the 10 because I define I is less than equals to 10. So initialization, here I define value of I is equals to 0. This is the condition part. I, that one is run up to the 10, and here I display a value, and in this location I increment, iterate 1 by 1. Or suppose I want to increase the value by 2. So here I define by 2. Control F5. So 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Like this way. So another way to increase the value of the I, we define like I plus plus. I plus plus, the meaning of I plus plus is same like this. I equals to I plus 1. You want to increase the value of I by 1. So here we can use I plus plus or I equals to I plus 1. That's your choice. You want to increment like this way or in another way. So while loop basically contain information in a 3 part. Same way we have another loop, do while loop. This one is the while loop. Now in a while loop again I declare initialization. So for initialization here I declare a value of x. So start with a 1 or suppose I start with a 10 and here do loop, and in a do while statement is always executed. Condition is defined at the end. I is greater than x is greater than equals to terminated by this. Here increment part, increment ix minus minus. And let's see first of all value of x like this. So this is the do while loop. So do while loop just reverse of that while loop, right? So here, whatever the condition, that condition is always defined at the end. Here is the iteration statement, and this one is the conditional statement. Sorry, initialization. Now I execute this one. Before this, I have one like this: 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right. So here we define like this. Same statement I have to define in a do while loop. So in this location, x equals to 1, or x is less than equals to 10, and in this location, x plus 1. F5, 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10. So now what is the difference in a while and a do while loop? While loop. While loop is called as an entry control loop, because in this location, first of all, when my program jumps, first of all it checks the condition. If this condition is true, then it executes this statement, right? Whereas do while loop is called as the exit control loop. So when we run a do while loop in this location, this is called as the exit control loop. In this location, when we run this loop, if this condition is false, first time it displays the value of x, whether your condition is false or true, right? So suppose here I define value of x is 20, right? So 20 is less than equals to 10. No, false. So let's see in this location. I put this one in a comment, and I want to show you this one. And here I use F11. So right now the value of x is 20. X is 20. So here it displays the value of x 20. Now x plus plus means value of x right now 21. 21 is less than 10. This condition is false. So here you see that condition is false. But still it executes the value of x. It displays you the value of x first time. So that's why here this loop is called as the exit control loop. Every time first statement, when this loop runs first time, it executes that statement whether your condition is true or false, right? But in case of a do while loop, it comes to the do while loop only when your condition is true. Do while loop execute only when your condition is true. Otherwise, in a while loop execute only when your condition is true. So here my condition is true, then it executes these statements. But in this location, first time here you see the value of x is 20, but the condition is 20 is less than 10. This kind of statement is false, but still it displays the value of x. Right now here I execute this program. Stop. F5. So 20. It displays the value of x, that is 20. So by default that condition which we define with the do while loop, that is false. But still it executes your program first time whether your condition is true or false. Now after this while and do while loop, we have a next one is the for loop. So normally in the while and do while loop we define initialization, then we define condition and iteration. Now in a for loop, the statement is defined like this: initialization, semicolon, then condition. All these three statements within the single line, and then iteration. And after that, we are for loop. Something like this. So here, example, I want to display value from 20 to 30, right? So in that location, we define int a equals 20. What is the condition? Less than equals to 30, is less than equals to 30, and a plus plus, like this. If, right? So whatever we define in a while loop, all that statement, initialization, iteration, and condition in a different location in three different lines. In this location, all these information within the same line. So it reduces the length of the program. Here, this r equals to, when you press a tab twice, automatically it displays this message. Like this one, and here I use I. I is already declared in the program. I think yes. So in place of I, here I replace it with A. Now I execute this one. So 20, that is the do while loop. 20, 21, 22 up to the 30. So in this location, you see the length of the program, that one is reduced as compared to the other loops. Because all these three, iteration, condition, and initialization, that is defined in the same line. Now next one is the for each loop. So here I declare one of the array int x. Here int I define 5. Values in that. Suppose this get guide is there. Now I have to display value of these variables, right? One way I can display these variables value like this: x equals to 0. But rather than using this one, I want to display value of this array like 10, 20, 34, 56, whatever the value in this array, I want to display it directly. So here I use for each. In this location, integer type. Here I declare one of the variables k in. From where I get the value, I will get a value from the x variable. The way of declaration for each. For each, and here we declare a variable name. First of all, data type, then variable name in where that value like that. And after that, define so here I show first example k. K is a variable which I declare here. value. What is the value in the k variable? Let us start a project. Right. Control F5. Now here something around 10, 20, 10, 20, 34, 36, 17. Okay, we got it. Because of this display 10, 20, 10, 20. Control KC, comment. Now here we see that variable value. So what is the value in my array that I can see in this location? 10, 20, 34, 56 and 78. Now this is related to the value of integer type. Here I declare another array which contains names. String array, name, new, string. This. Now I have to display values of this name. So in this location here I declare another for each. For each string. And here I declare like n in where those variables are stored in names variable. Console.write line, or otherwise console.write. Here I use n, and after this n I use tab 5. Within the same line I want all these names. Yes. And now I run this. Peter, John, Mike, Thomas, Martin. So here you see names also. Suppose within the same location I declare another array of float type. Put some count of values. So this is. And now I have to display these values for each float. F in value. Control F5. Like this. Right? So like this way we can work with this one. Now here you see the difference in this loop. For, and what is the difference in for loop and for each loop? For loop work with integer value. Right? For loop that always works with the integer value. In a for loop we can't assign a string or double or something like that. Whereas in a for each loop it works with all data types. Right? So in that location you see for each I use string in names. Right? Second for each I use float value in that. Float f in salary. So different type of data types are used in this location. Here string, here float, integer, whatever you want to use, you can use those ones. But in for loop, you have to always define integer value. For int k, sorry, first of all initialization k equals to 0, k up to the length of the variable less than equals to 5, k plus plus. Then whatever operation you want to perform, you can do that one. Right now, these same examples I show you with the help of for each. So now I have to display the value of this array for this x. I cut this, control x, I put it here. String, I use this for each loop for that. Control x, put it here. Then this one, control x, put it here. Valid of this one. Now same statements I want to display with the help of for loop. So this same value I want to display with the help of for loop. So here I use for int k start with 0. K is less than equals x dot length. Whatever the length of x minus 1, because array always start with a 0. So this is on the 0 index, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So by default length is 5, so it's less than 1, right? So here we have to define x dot length minus 1, then k plus 1. And now here I have to display value of x, so x k like this. I put this one, rest of these statements in a comment right now for a while. Here I show the value with the help of using for. Now I run this. Result is same in both the cases, but the way of writing, way of declaring, that is different. Here I use directly int k in x. Whatever the value of x, all that x values store one by one in a k, and after that I display value of k. But in this location I have to declare initialization, then I have to run this statement up to the x dot length minus 1, then k plus plus, and after that what is the variable name? Array name x k value of k is 0, then value of k is 1. So k is x0 means 10, x1 means 20, x2 means 30, like this. Right? Now jump to this one. Same statement I have to define using for loop. Again int, and here I define I equals 0, I that is length, names dot length minus 1. And I have to display a value. So same like I use x and k. So in this location I have to use variable name I, like this. So in this location for loop, that one is always work with the integer type. I can't assign a string in this location. For example, if I try to assign a string, let's see. So here after that in a conditional initialization, it show me an error message. Right? Whereas in a for each loop, that is a simple and straight loop. Int control F5. Now here names. Right? So this way we can display them. For same float. So like this one. So to display same values but using different for loop. So here we have a two type of for loop in a C sharp, for and for each. So here you see the difference of that. In a for each we can work with a different data type, whereas a for loop that work only with the integer data type. We can't assign any other data type in a for loop. So conditional statement indicates of a for and a while loop. For the from the first execution there will be a condition verification. The loop execute as many times as the condition satisfied. The minimum begin 0. So by default for loop minimum begin with the 0. In case of do while, the condition is verified only after the first execution, which means the loop will execute at least for a one time. And in the case of for and a while loop, minimum number of execution will be 0, whereas it is 1 in case of do while loop. So in a for and a while loop, there is at least your program execute until program execute only when your condition is true. But in case of a do while loop, your program execute once sorry, whether your condition is false. For each is specifically designed for assigning the value of array and collections. So here in this location I use a for each. So in this location I use array. With the array we use this for each loop. We can also use a for each loop with the normal with using a for loop also. But when we use an array, so in that location better we can use a for each loop, so that we don't have to write a lengthy program for that one. So here they show you the example of that one, how we define a for loop. And this is the example of a while loop. So while demo x is less than 50 condition x and x plus plus, and after that we call that program. Do while loop. So do while loop always execute once and for each loop. So here they declare an array, and in this array we can use for each loop. Same thing they define with a for loop also. Then next one is the methods. So method is a code of blocks that contain a series of statements. A program causes these statements to be executed by calling a method and specifying any requirement method argument. In C#, every executed instruction is performed in context of a method. So main method is the entry point of every C# application, and it is called as a common language runtime when a program is started. So right now when we run our program, so by default there is a method, the method name is main, which is always execute, which is called as the entry point or exit point. So when we run our program, so by default our cursor directly jumps to the main method, and after that it executes the program. So method signatures. So methods are declared in a class or a structure by specifying the access level such as a public or private, and optional modifiers such as the abstract or seed, and the return value and the name of a method and any method parameter. So these parts together are a signature of a method. So note, return type of method is not a part of a signature. The method for the purpose of a method overloading. However, it is a part of signature of a method when determining the compatibility between the delegate and the method that it points to. So right now I explain about this one. Methods. With return. This one. first of all, here I declare a method. So first of all, we declare access specifier. Access specifiers are public, private. Right? These two are the access specifier. Public means which is visible to all, and private means which is visible only to the user who is working in that program. After that access specifier, so right now here, access specifier. Then return type of a method, and then method like this. So here I show the example. Public void hello. This is the method. So public is the access specifier, void is the return type, and hello is the method name. Right? So in our console application, we see by default there is a method. That is public static void name. So public is the access specifier, static is also an access specifier. Otherwise, we can remove this public also. Static void main. The static void main is the access specifier. Void is the return type, or main is the method name. So this is the way we can declare our method. So right now this method. This method is without return, without parameter. Parameter means whatever we define within this bracket, that one we call as a parameter. So right now here I declare another one, public void I, and here I define string name. So in this location, this method is without return with parameter, because I defined one parameter in this. The parameter name, parameter type is string type, and name of the parameter is name. And without return, we use a method with the void keyword. This void means without return. No return time. Void means no return time. So here I declare another one, public string welcome, and here I define string name like this. So in this location, what is the return type of this? That is a string. So return a string value and one parameter with this one. The parameter is of string type. Here I show the example first. So in this location, by default there is a main method. I have to declare my own method. So that method is declared after class, not in the main. We call our method within the main. And with item method name, first letter should be capital. Something like this. Right now, here I create another method, public I. So it's of string type. So when I string type, it returns something. I define return, suppose this one. Right now I have to call these methods. How can I run this one? So right now suppose I define this method and I execute my program right now. Let's see what it displays. There is nothing. So I have to execute this one. So within the main method, first of all, what is the name of my class? My class name is program. Here I define program and I create instance of that program, object of that program. Program P new program. I create memory for this program class. Now I have to call the method hello. Where is that hello method written? This hello method is written within the program class. So now I create an object of that program class, that is the P. So I can call this P hello method with the help of this P dot. Can you see that method name? Hello. So in this location, what I am doing? I am calling my method. So you have to call your method. You have to define like this one. Now after that, I have to call hi method. So P dot hi like this. Now I run this program. Control F5. Here I can see the result of hello world, but I can't see the result of hi method. How can I see the result of hi method? So in this location we see hi, it return a value, hi to all. How can I see that value? So what is the return type of this? Is string type. So in this location I have to declare a variable name that is of string type, string k or any variable name. Now here I use console.writeLine and I display value of k. So whatever the result of hi, that one is stored in a k. First of all, I put a breakpoint here to show you the result. F11. So in this location, you see, first time my cursor enter in the main method. Now here it create an instance p dot hello. Now see where it jumped. It jumped directly to the hello method. Because I call which method first? I call hello method first. So my cursor jumps directly to the hello method. Now it executes the statement which is defined within the hello method. Now after that it jumps to the next line. String k. Right now see the value of k. There is nothing. K is null. Right now let's see F11. So here it jumped to the hi to all. Right now k is null, F11, it assign a value. So k, the value of k is hi to all. Now after that console.writeLine k. Right? So this is the way we can declare a method and we call that method by defining class object. Now I run this, control F5. This. Right. So right now in this location I declare a two method. Same way I declare another method. Public string, and here I declare welcome. And in this location I pass one parameter, string name. So it's of string type. So for a string, we always define a return type. Return welcome. And after that, I declare variable name. Now I have to call this method from this location. P dot welcome. And there is a one parameter that is of string type. Define a name of the person. So suppose here I define and what this welcome method return, it return a string type. So here I have to declare a variable of string type, string and message. Console.writeLine msg. This. Now I execute this one. Right. So like this way we can define different methods. So now in this location I declare these three methods. Method with return type, method with return or without parameters. So now here we see the signature. One method with return without parameters, with return with parameters, and without return. One more will I declare. Public void add method I declare and string. So here I use suppose this one I define. Now I have to call this method. Two values I have to pass, 10 or 20. I pass in this location. No need to define this one because I assign direct values in that. This one. Now I run this. Addition of two numbers is 10 plus 20, that is 30. So here we see that. Now in this location method contain a method signature also. So method signature contain first method name, type of method, type means parameter type, and number of parameters. So now let's see method name. First method which we have right now. So here we have a first method that is a hello method, right? So what is the method name? That is hello. Return type of this method, that is void. Void means no return. So here we define void. Then parameter, how many parameters in that? There is no parameter. And number of parameters, no, nothing in that. So this is the method signature for first one. Now let's see method signature for second one in this location. So what is the name of this method? That is hi. Return type of this method, void. Is there any parameter? Yes, parameter type is string type. And what is the name of number of parameters? How many parameters? One parameter. Right? So this is the method signature for hi method. Now same way we have a next one. Method signature for this. What is the name of this method? That is welcome. And its return type is string. Is there any parameter? Yes, string type. And how many parameters? One. Suppose here I declare another one. Public int at int a int b int c. Now the three method signatures is add, method name, return type is integer, parameter, there are three parameters int, and int. How many parameters? Three. Same way I have another method, public, string, anything that you find, int, string, name, float, total. I have to define method parameter, signature. So name of my method is data. Its return type is string. And parameter, there are three parameters. First one is of integer type, second one is of string type, and third one is of float type. And parameters, there are three parameters. Right? So this one is clear. So this one is about the methods. So how we can call a method or how we define an access specifier when we have a multiple parameter. We separate those parameters by using comma and order. Method parameter versus arguments. Passing by reference and value. We have done this one in the last session, like pass by value and pass by reference, right? Secret function arrays. So can we do this rest of the things on tomorrow? Sorry, day after tomorrow. Right. So in that I show you about these reference appeal and async, and one more thing is that yield. Right. So we discuss those ones in the day next class. Right. So any doubt in this one?